Hi everyone, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I am back again with another entry in the Letterboxd Criterion Challenge for 2024. And today's prompt was number 24, which was pick a movie starring Liv Ullman, which I really just saw as pick an Ingmar Bergman movie, as they collaborated quite often to make some of the greatest Swedish movies ever made. And I decided to pick their 1972 collaboration for the movie Cries and Whispers, which, fun fact, this movie was actually the first foreign film to ever be distributed in the United States by the late, great Roger Corman, rest in power, King. And I had to mention that because he put it in the drive-in. Just imagine watching a movie like this in a drive-in theater. Wow, just what a madman. But it actually worked out because it had success financially in the States, and it actually went on to be nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Director, and earned itself a very deserved win for Best Cinematography. Now, I am admittedly still something of a novice when it comes to Ingmar Bergman. He's one of those greats that I tend to respect more than I love, even if I'm not as emotionally vested in his movies as I would like to be. I still am always captivated by what he does in them. I like his lighting and framing are absolutely beautiful and very iconic a lot of the time. I'm like the seventh seal alone just kind of. I mean, what notice you said about that? That is one of the most like instantly recognizable, oft like repeatedly parodied for a reason. Because it's just such a striking looking movie, and a lot of his heavy themes of identity and faith. There tends to be there's always a lot to chew on with him, but I never tend to be in a mood for him, and but at the same time I think it's a shame that his style tends to kind of be shorthanded into this boring black and white movie equals snobby pretentious trash assumption by the cinematically incurious. And I would say to those that kind of dismiss films like Bergman's or just generally don't go for these more art housey stuff, I would tell them that it's fine if you don't get it, and it's fine if you don't understand it right away. I sort of liken watching a Bergman movie to being in a museum, and I mean that in an unpretentious way. I actually went to the Smithsonian Art Museum when I was on vacation, and often I would come across a painting that I wouldn't quite get right away. There would be a plethora of landscape paintings that. Whose beauty and brushwork are just self-evident, but then there'd be artworks that sort of like give me pause and still leave an impression on me that I do want to interrogate. I don't get it, but I do feel it, and I could certainly say, and that is something I could say about Bergman movies, and it's certainly what I can say about a movie like Cries and Whispers. So this movie begins very quietly, so quiet you can hear everything, the sounds of nature, the ticking of a clock inside this ornate manor, and the sounds of breathing. And the breathing is coming from a woman who is waking up. She is slow and hard to wake up. She is visibly not doing well. She is pale and gaunt. She hasn't been sleeping well, and she is very much in pain. And she wakes up and writes in a diary. This is Agnes, and she is slowly dying of uterine cancer. And Agnes, who is played by Harriet Andersson, is being looked after by 3 other women. 2 of them whom are sisters. One is Maria, who's played by Liv Ullman, and the other is Kari, played by Ingrid Thulin. And the other woman is her devoted maid Anna, who's played by Kari, I might butcher this name, Kari Sylwan. And it is a terminal sickness. And in grieving over Agnes as they're doing their best to take care of her, the other women take this moment to reflect and attempt to reconcile their own pain. We see these flashbacks of what pain they have in these sequences that are bookended by these close-ups of the women that they focus on as they're being overtaken by red. No, it's not a fade to black. It's a fade to red and then back again. And now you cannot talk about Ingmar Bergman without in the same breath mentioning his longtime cinematographer, the god Sven Nykvist. And Sven was a certified virtuoso of the close-up shot. I don't think anyone has really matched his ability to photograph a face. Like my God, so much of Bergman's visual poetry is identified so much by just the way him and Nykvist are able to shoot these these mournful, pain-ridden faces in these beautiful images. Oftentimes, especially in a movie like Persona, they would have multitude of close-ups where half the face is shrouded in darkness and the other is just billowed by this bright light. And oftentimes it would have these over-the-shoulder shots where it would be a close-up, very close, peering right through the camera, and then someone else would be behind them, their face just as much taking up just as much of the screen. And these moments are so captivating and so just they're very piercing moments. They're really really demand you look at them, and you can't. And I honestly don't want to look away. You certainly get moments like that, not just with these these close-ups as they just become red, enshrouded in color red. You also have other moments in when we flash back with Maria. Here, there's a close-up of her looking at. There's a close-up of her just sort of looking slightly past the camera, and her face is taking up much of the foreground, and the doctor that she's having an affair with is his mouth whispering these sort of harsh words at her, or just behind her, it's in the background of the shot, and it's just over her shoulder. It is as Ingmar Bergman a shot as you can get. But what really makes Cries of Whispers stand out in terms of Bergman's filmography is Nykvist's absolute command of color. This movie is just dominated by these crimson reds, and with only flashes of white drapery, white clothing, and black shadows that serve as secondary colors. And there's only few brief moments where, maybe 2 or 3 times at the most, when we are not trapped in this manner that is just completely covered head to toe in red painting, red carpeting, red seats. We're just drowning in the color red. And it is just marvelous. It's a marvelous looking movie, and it's sort of, I guess and it's so overpowering that even if you don't understand what red is supposed to symbolize or what it might symbolize, you do understand that there is a meaning to it. And I do like that. I do like it when the symbolism is both obvious but not. It's both clear but not obvious, if that makes sense. Now, this movie is pretty heavy. As I said, we're mostly following these women doing their best to take care of Agnes as she's just slowly getting worse and worse. And in the moments that they're reflecting on the pain that they are keeping inside, right? Like we flash back with Maria when she had an affair with a doctor, and how she grieves and is like sort of recoiled in fear when her husband attempted suicide when he discovered the affair. And that moment when she like sees that he had like tried to kill himself is so shocking to her that she's just completely repulsed by this like proximity to death. I watched this twice before viewing this, and I noticed there's this continued aversion from Maria in the present, because she's there but she's not close with Agnes. Like she doesn't even really stay in the same room as her because she's just so visibly uncomfortable by Agnes's pain and she's right on death's door. But Karin, the other sister, is so she is so her flashback has her be just so achingly just empty and just trapped in this just completely loveless marriage, and she was so repulsed by her husband that she mutilated herself and smeared the blood on her mouth to scare him off. It's so pain, and it honestly gets so painful to watch. It's honestly honestly a tough sit, because what Agnes really wants, what we can see on her pain, and what are able to understand, what I was able to understand from watching it, that Agnes just desires comfort and touch. Touching is one of the central motifs of the movie, and the act of touching. And while touching isn't necessarily sexual, there is a lot of sort of erotic emotion behind it. It's this primal desire to just feel and be felt. Just sort of feeling another person that makes you feel alive. And that's something that Agnes is truly desperate for. It's we actually see a brief flashback of Agnes when she remembers feeling closest to her mother when she reached out and touched her face. And Agnes, now in the throes of death, is just so desperate to feel the warmth and comforting touch from her sisters, but Karin just refuses to touch or be touched by anyone, and Maria is just so horrified she doesn't want to go near her. And it's Anna, and my God, like as Agnes gets worse and worse, and her breathing just turns into this like horrid, inhumane wheezes, she starts crying, screaming in anguish. Just, I can't take it anymore. Won't somebody help me? And her sisters refuse. And it's Anna, her devoted maid, who is the only one who was able to give her any sense of warmth, any sense of comfort, which you could read as sort of a class thing, given that this is the housemaid to these like 12th century aristocrat types, but more present that I recognized was this very maternal, nurturing care that Anna gives Agnes. One of the film's most devastating images is Anna, who had she kind of bared her breasts and like cradled Agnes in the bed, and it's a shot that evokes Michelangelo's Pieta statue, the statue of Mary holding the dead Jesus in her arms, and it's Anna just holding in and carrying all that pain, all that misery, and all that suffering, all this sacred suffering that Agnes is going through. And it's especially made more powerful given that the two shots preceding that image is Maria and Karin just standing outside the room in this empty shots where, yes, they are together, but they're in the same shot together, but there's still this emptiness in them standing frozen, just staring in this like silent indifference and the emptiness of the room around them. And it's and man, the performances from all the actresses are absolutely incredible. Again, the way that, oh my God, the way that Harriet Andersson just like gives out these painful yells is just tough to hear. Like I've never dealt with, I never had a loved one had to go through cancer, but it feels very true to the pain that she's suffering from. And Liv Ullman is who I would probably say is the most reserved out of all of them, which is kind of a staple of Ingmar Bergman performances. She holds so much back in her face, in just the way that she's just silently begs the doctor to return her affections, and she's just rebuked. But then Ingrid Thulin, my God, she's a whole other card of baggage. Wow. And it is incredible. It is truly an incredible movie, I think, and all of these actresses I have nothing but respect for, or they are just marvelous in every scene, in how resolute they are, in how well mannered their performance is, and how just devastating it is. It is only 90 minutes long, but this is not a movie for casual viewing. Its emotions are as heavy as stone, and it will crush you if you are not prepared. And it's magnificent. I think even just on a second watch, I got much more out of it than my first watch. It's a dour film. It's a very heavy film, but it's an incredible film as well, about sisterhood, on death and regret, and the real solace of being alive, and kind of solace of suffering, and in some of its fleeting moments when you do escape this like hellish red world, and Anna and Agnes dreams of memories of her mother in this white dress and standing outside in the green fields, or Agnes with her sisters and with Anna, sort of running around the same way that they did when they're children. That's when everything seems worth it. All of her pain, all of her pains, all of her cries, and all of her whispers fall silent. That makes moments like that worth it. And man, I was very impressed by them. Yeah. Bergman he's one of the best for a reason, and I absolutely do recommend Cries and Whispers. It was beautiful, it was sad, and man, it's a heavy one. It's a heavy one, like I expected. So yeah, that's the film. Comment, like, subscribe. What would you say is your favorite Ingmar Bergman movie? And since I'm me, I have to, of course, recommend another one. So I recommend the obvious one. It's The Seventh Seal. It's a classic for a reason. It is gorgeously shot. It is very interesting. It's not boring at all. It's not the kind of stuffy, pretentious thing that I think some people would kind of call it is. But no, it is one of the greatest films ever made for a reason. It's beautiful, as well as Cries and Whispers, and yeah, I cannot recommend this. Cannot recommend Cries and Whispers enough. It's marvelous, and I'm very glad I watched this. I'm very glad I'm still doing this challenge, and I really got to get more onto it because I still got a lot more to go, and I'm probably going to get busier towards the end of the year, at least as far as my job goes, hopefully. But yeah, that's the review. And I'm Zach. I have a lot more movies to watch, and I hope you watch them too. And I will see you next time.